If I had my way, I would propose an amendment to the Constitution for us to reconfigure devolution. As a chair of the Public Accounts Committee, I've looked at the books of accounts of all the 47 counties. I can tell you most of our county governments are not viable financially. I wish we had fewer counties. Fewer counties would mean that now we could deal with economies of scale. You see, when you have 47 counties and almost all of them spend half their money on salaries, and then another significant percentage goes to the county assembly, and so whatever remains for development is so small that it's difficult for a county to undertake a project worth 1 billion shillings, for example, in a year. We have too many counties. And I wish we could go back to the earlier draft, I think that was the Bomas draft, that had proposed about 13. I wish we could also change the structure of Nairobi. Nairobi City County is such a special entity that it cannot be run with the same laws that are used to run Homa Bay County. And I'm not saying that Homa Bay is inferior, but capital cities tend to be such important entities that in some countries, the person who runs a capital city sits in cabinet. I saw that in Ivory Coast, that the mayor or the governor of their capital city is a full cabinet minister, because a capital city requires a lot of resources to get it up to speed. So I think we perhaps need to do a legislative impact assessment of devolution. And for me, one of the first things I would propose would be a reduction in numbers, would be also a reduction in representative units, because with the number of members of county assemblies that we have, the county assemblies are taking increasingly up to 13% of total disbursements that go to counties. The question is, should that be the cost of representation at 13%, or can it be lower? So I would want to restructure county governments. Nonetheless, we have seen some positive things. The devolution of health services was a good thing. It allows every corner of this country to be able to invest in infrastructure so that people do not focus on Nairobi. The bringing the county headquarters and all those activities means that we do not have to go to Nairobi to tarmac. Young people can tarmac even within those counties. It means that businesses also can thrive, but only if the resources are released on time. There is a conversation that's going on whether education should also have been devolved. So at the 10th, this 10th anniversary of devolution and devolution conferences, I wish we could shift our focus on looking at the legislative and constitutional elements that hinder devolution. And as I've said, the counties are too many, and that makes them too expensive to run. And that means that most of the money that goes to counties does not end up in the pockets of Mwananchi, but it ends up being consumed by bureaucracy that is unnecessary. Now, there's been a serious delay in release of money to county governments. In fact, when you walk across the counties, you find that even workers have not been paid their salaries for the month of March, and some counties could be in salary arrears for almost 2 months. Again, if employees are not being paid, it means that even suppliers are not being paid. It means that there is no cash circulating in our local economy. And so we must insist that the national government respects the cash disbursement schedule that is passed by Parliament. Every year, once we process the Division of Revenue Bill and we process the Additional Allocations Bill, the Senate also prepares a cash disbursement schedule. That schedule shows when and how monies will go to counties. I want to tell the CS Treasury that the cash disbursement schedule is not a suggestion, it is law. It is wrong for the national government to be collecting taxes from Kenyans and then prioritizing their own needs at the national government and forgetting about county governments. So that delay is unconstitutional, and when we go back to Parliament, we'll be putting the CS Treasury on the spot to tell us to what extent they have complied with the cash disbursement schedule. But there's also another bigger problem that has delayed the release of conditional grants to county governments. The County Additional Allocations Bill has been stuck in Parliament because the National Assembly does not want county governments to get 10 billion shillings for maintenance of roads in county governments. And I'm glad that Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga has called them out and has told them that the issue of roads is not the province of members of National Assembly. That is an issue that should be allowed to, the money that should be allowed to go to counties. And last week, I remember Junet Mohammed saying that they had now seen the light, that they were going back to pass the additional allocations bill. I hope that that will be actualized after Easter, so that the money that counties are budgeted for, money for FLOCA, money for payments of community health practitioners, money for completion of country aggregation and industrial zones, and money for various conditional grants like NAV CDP, devolution support program. It's a lot of money. It's about 52 billion Kenya shillings that is still stuck because the Senate and National Assembly and the Council of Governors are still bickering. It's having a huge adverse effect on county programs because things like FLOCA or things like Kenya Informal Settlement Program, you might find that certain procurement had already been planned, and if the money does not come, then there's going to be a serious loss of value on the taxpayer.